What's up, guys? Okay, so we talked a little bit about yesterday about the new series Ask Damp, and I happen to have actually my schedule open up a little bit. So we're going to do the second part. So I'm going to get right into the questions that I got on some of the Ask Damp Part 1, and continue to throw your questions down below, and I'll ask them as I get them. So we'll start with the first one. So PP Dud asks, I haven't been offered a level 3 Crusader in over 100 weeks. Is there any way to increase the drop rate of a level 3 Crusader? So essentially, and I don't know if I said level 1, but I meant level 3, similar to this Vestal you guys see here. So he's basically asking, is there a way to increase veteran level drop rates? So realistically, as long as you have experienced recruits unlocked, there's nothing else you can do to improve your chances. What I would tell you is it's not as important the level that they come as, but rather what quirks they come with. I would be much more excited to see a level 0 Crusader with Precise Striker excuse me, than a level 3 that would have I don't know, anything else really. Precise Striker is like one of the best. So long story short, PB, no, unfortunately not. There isn't a way to really to increase those chances that it will be a level 3 Crusader, but just look for a level 0, 1, or 2 that's got the right quirks that you want, and then move from there. There are some times where there are town events. If you watch your embark screen, where you will get town events that remove level restrictions. So that's a way you can combat that if that was the reason you're looking for it. So next question comes to us from Jacek, and he asks, what are the best parties for Grave Robber? And, you know, does she particularly synergize well with certain people? So the short answer is that the Grave Robber works with everyone because of her ability to remove diseases, cure stress, cure big chunks of stress as a camping skill. Scout, disarm traps, has a very, very, very high crit chance with this lunge ability. And essentially I rate her as probably the best hero in the game right now. So she works really with everyone. If you wanted to maximize her effectiveness, you could do so with a Mark party because of Thrown Dagger, but realistically you don't need it. I mean, she's able to almost single-handedly eliminate the third row by herself. The Hellion can almost eliminate fourth row by themselves, which would minimize stress because of her high crit chance. If you offset her abilities with things like Eagle Eye, Deadly, Precise Striker, her crit goes through the roof, as well as offsetting it with her trinket that we talked about in the last episode. That's one of the best ones in the game. Because of all those things, she's even able to stun. So because of all those things, let's see if I can. This is her trinket that we talked about last episode. She is why. That's why I really think she's really, really good. If I had to give you one example, I'd say Grave Robber in the 4th slot, Crusader in the 3rd slot, Vestal in the 2nd slot, and Hellion in the front slot. Run that party through the ruins, use Lunge and then Shadow Fade, and the Crusader and the Grave Robber will essentially leapfrog each other. Once the Crusader is stuck in the 3rd slot, use him to stress heal if you have to, but they're so powerful that even with him just stress healing, you're able to basically roll through the whole instance. So with that, talking about the Hellion, why am I even doing this? He asks, so why is the Hellion so good? The Arbalest essentially hits harder. So the Arbalest can hit harder, you're right. The reason the Hellion's so strong, is another commenter kind of gave you a hint on, was essentially that because she's in the front row and she's able to hit the 4th row, she is very, very unique. And that is so strong in that there's really not another front row character that can hit 4th row like she can. And that she's able to, with that crit chance, she's able to essentially eliminate them possibly in one turn. And why you were asking this, basically as if I'm not able to one-shot anything in the back row, but my Arbalest can. That's right, but also in the 4th slot, you could run a Plague Doctor who could stun those back 2 rows, giving everybody else the chance of focusing down you know, the third and fourth row to possibly eliminate that. I mean, there's a lot of other stronger classes than the Arbalist, unless you're running it in a Mark party on a boss fight. That's where I feel that she excels. But the reason that everybody says Hellion's better is not because of the damage that she necessarily does, but rather her position and what she's able to do if you use crit modifiers and crit trinkets, similar to, let's see here, let's find a couple. Surgical gloves, really, really strong. Ancestor's Pen, and you guys can see that on the spreadsheet that I have. Ancestor's Pen is another one that's really powerful. Let's see. Those are the two that come to mind that I typically start with first. But anything that gives you additional crit, if you run dark runs, Hell's Hairpin's pretty solid. But anything that gives you additional crit is very, very strong with her. So, long story short, she's really, really good because she's one of the only characters in the front row that can hit the back row without moving or being moved around. So, next question comes to us from Kevin Toma. What are your thoughts on the trinket sets? What are the 3 worst heroes? Also, he asks. So, essentially, the 3 characters I think that need the most love, and I don't know that they're necessarily the worst, but they're the least generalized, most situational. So I have the Leper, the Antiquarian, and the Man-at-Arms as the 3 worst in the game right now. And I don't necessarily think they'll stay the worst in the game. I just think those are the 3 that need the most love and polish. The Antiquarian did recently get some buffs with some of the trinket adjustments. Same thing with the Leper. And the reason the Leper isn't good is because he can't hit the 4th row, he can't hit the 3rd row, and you rely on another character to pull things into the Leper in order to eliminate them, almost reducing one of their turns. And the Leper isn't a guaranteed one-shot, so you're using 2 turns to take somebody down. If the Leper one-shots it when it's brought into his, well, not necessarily one-shot, but with the additional damage that the other character would do, you look at, can he actually hit in 1 turn and kill it with the minimal damage that somebody used to pull it into position for him? I don't think that's worthwhile, and that's why I rate him lower. He does have his places where he excels. His trinkets recently got buffed, so that's helped. I still don't think he's that good. And the Man-at-Arms doesn't hit hard enough to offset some of his weaknesses. He does have roles in many boss fights and many mini boss fights, but generally speaking, I don't find him that valuable. And Antiquarian for obvious reasons. I mean, I don't have to go through that with you guys. So my thoughts on the trinket sets are I really would like to reserve my thoughts until I see the final balances and passing that they're doing, guys. But, I mean, I have a few of them that I've unlocked now. I'm really trying not to do the courtyard, so I don't see a ton of them. But, I mean, these are the 3 that I've unlocked. I feel for the most part, most of the trinket sets do not complement the way I play the game. That's my initial thought. So there are a few where I go, oh, that's really good. That's pretty powerful. Like the Bounty Hunter one is one I feel the set bonus is one of the best. What I like about the set bonuses is that the quotes actually kind of play into the comics that the game's released and kind of give you some insight on the comics that have not been released, which there's a Reddit user this week on the DD Reddit. I apologize, I don't know his name, but he did a lot of research into that. I thought that was really cool that the trinkets do tie into that. However, I do not feel they're that strong. Just currently the way they sit, I don't think they're that strong. I do think there are some that you could piece together to make them stronger with partnering with their actual class trinket rather than their set bonus. They're okay though, but they're not for a lot of the uses of how I play that benefit speed and crit right off the bat. Some of them are, but generally speaking, I say they don't complement my playstyle as much as I would like. And last question. So AJ Tupman, he asks, you and Filthy Robot are my go-to guys whenever I need to learn something from the game. Do you ever run essentially 2 of the same hero class? So first of all, thank you, AJ, very much. And the answer to your question is yes. I will say that because of the way I've played the game, probably in the last 100 to 150 weeks, I don't get a lot of experiment time because I'm trying to keep people balanced, and now I'm at the point where most of the people that I have on my roster have really, really good quirks, so I'm trying not to lose them. To answer your question, one of the classes especially that I feel is overlooked is running 2 abominations in the cove. So I'll kind of break down how I do this. So obviously you can see this is like almost god roll on an abomination for the front row. So I run an abomination in the front row, and I use him to essentially power through everything in the first 2 or 3 rows. Normally his first target is the 3rd row. Then the other abomination I bring, I use Blight and Stun in the 2nd slot. So I very rarely transform him, but instead I use Manacles and Beast's Bile. I typically start with a Stun, and then I'll run Beast's Bile continually until we eliminate the 2nd and 3rd rows. From there I run an Occultist in the 4th slot, and I'll either run a Plague Doctor to increase the Blight damage and the Stun in the back row to offset, some of the weaknesses in the back row, or a Grave Robber for essentially the scouting ability. So it really starts with the Occultist is going to run in the Cove Abyssal Artillery, then you're running, ideally he's in the 3rd slot, so he can run these 2, and I play it very aggressively. I very rarely use the Occultist to heal. We're running Abyssal Artillery until 4th and 3rd row are out, and then we're using the Stab, or till 4th row's out, then we're using the Stab to stab the 3rd row. Hopefully that's done soon. Then we're focusing down the 1st and 2nd row. If anything, the weaknesses are some of the prot enemies take longer than I would like to kill. However, it's usually just it just stomps through the cove. So that gives you some insight on, I do run 2 of a class. Abomination is one I feel that's really good. I also feel Houndmaster with Guard right now is really, really strong, and a lot of people don't give it the credit it desires, or it's due, rather. And then sometimes I'll run 2 Highwaymen. Those are the ones I think most commonly that I would run that would make sense currently. So thanks for all the questions, guys. I really appreciate it. Again, thanks for all your support, and hopefully you enjoy this series. We'll see how this goes. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.